Hello Cancer and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus placements looking at your connection between you and the person that you are dealing with and are needing to learn the most from right now. We'll be pulling for all three sides of the connection, so we'll look at your energy, their energy, and the energy in between it, the concept being that there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is looking at what is the deeper purpose of this connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Friendly reminder that these are general readings and they are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and to leave what does not. On that note, especially if you're a cross-watcher, just know that this whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that is totally fine and totally normal. Again, the point is to take what helps and leave what doesn't. Last thing is that any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading or coaching session with me is in the description box below. All right, let's dive into Cancer. We're going to start with looking at the overall theme, or overall energy, through Oracle cards first, and then we'll dive deeper into the story with Tarot as we progress. So let's start, Cancer, with your side of this connection to the person you are dealing with. Shattered. I think like shattered expectations, shattered illusions. I'm not quite sure exactly what this is trying to bring to light. Communication. And then trapped. Okay. So I feel like in this connection, there's been a lot of unfulfilled expectations. And I feel like you have done what you can to be honest about how you feel, what you need, what your expectations are. But it feels like this person, no matter what, isn't showing up to meet you at those expectations. Which then leaves you, and I feel like I want to even take the shattered card to even more of a literal sense. I feel like it then makes you feel really broken inside, because there's this part of you that's like, why won't they choose me? Why won't they value me? Why won't they, allow me to love them or to get to experience this connection with them in whatever form, right? However that resonates, even if you're in a committed relationship with this person. I do feel like this trapped card, it feels like you're trapped in this experience. Like there's no way out, or there's no way for things to get better unless this person does show up. And I feel like Spirit's trying to provide some clarity in this reading. So let's look at this person's energy toward you, Cancer. This person's energy toward you, Cancer. Know your worth with ego. Okay. This person struggles with knowing their worth, knowing that they're worthy and deserving of love. Now, I feel like you wouldn't know that, because with this ego card, I feel like they have constructed a version of themselves that they do like. But it's not who they really are. It's like a mask. It's a facade. It's whatever version of them they feel that they need to be in order to experience validation from the outside world. So when it comes to relationships see past that, right? Especially like when the relationship deepens, as the intimacy deepens in a connection emotionally, you see who somebody really is. And a lot of people, when they're identifying so heavily with or choosing to allow their ego to really run the show, deep down, they actually don't like themselves at all. So there's no surrendering to that vulnerability that is necessary in order to build connection. And there's a lot of keeping you at a distance so that you don't see them beyond the version of themselves that they constructed. And I feel like there's a need to break this down a lot further, but we'll dive more into that when it comes to tarot. So I feel like that's what's hard, right? You have these expectations for this connection, expectations of needs being fulfilled, expectations of, being valued or chosen, or a certain level of effort being presented, and you've communicated those. But one of the hardest things about communication is that it takes a willingness for somebody to really hear you and be willing to make changes to show up for those needs, and vice versa, right? And I feel like you tell this person over and over, I need this, like I want this, I care about you, I love you. But it feels like this person is so committed to keeping you at a distance, not because of you, not because of how much they value you, but because of how little they value themselves. So let's dive even more into this, because that's interesting here. Truth of the connection between Cancer and this person. Euphoria. Wild card. Grief and sadness and solitude. I feel like this person does have a tendency to make you feel really good. I feel like there are moments where they do show up, moments where they do choose you, but I feel like there's a lot of inconsistency there. And I feel like one of the hardest things for you is not really knowing what to expect. Like, you have certain expectations, and maybe sometimes this person does show up for those. But it feels like you're constantly left guessing. Are they going to be there the next day? Are they going to show up when you really need them? How do they really feel about me? Do they really want to be with me? And that emotional insecurity, lack of security emotionally is something that I feel like is really taking a toll on you. Because with this grief and sadness and solitude, there's this energy of feeling very alone in this connection. Even if you're with this person, even if you're in it. So with that being said, and I think that that's hard, right? You can be with somebody, but you can feel alone with them if they are emotionally distant, because they're not emotionally present to meet you in that moment where you're looking to be met. So, you feel alone, you feel unseen and not chosen and not valued, because this person isn't even honoring their own emotional experience, so they're not going to honor yours. So I feel like there's something that Spirit's trying to bring to the surface about this connection. I feel like this has been a very difficult and probably pretty painful experience, but I also feel that there's a purpose, there's a reason here. So let's see what else we've got. Overall theme of this reading for Cancer, please. We will overcome this with ignoring the pain. I feel like that's what's hard, is no matter what happens in this connection, I feel like you see it as worth it in the end because of how good things have the potential to feel sometimes. And I absolutely understand that, right? When something feels as good as you've ever felt, it's like, of course I want to hold on for those good moments, even if, so much of it isn't good. But I also feel that there's a part of you, it's ignoring some sort of a deeper truth, something that Spirit is trying to bring to the surface, something that needs to be addressed. Because this cycle, this situation, this dynamic that you're in is not fair to you. Something has to change here. This cannot keep going on the way that it is, because it is taking a toll on you. It's taking a toll on your soul. What else do we need to see here? I feel like there's one. I just started shuffling, so I took that as like there is one more here. What else here? Is Cancer needing to know about this connection? No? Okay. I literally heard, oops, that wasn't supposed to come out. Lies and partial truths. Okay. So I feel like when it comes to this person, they don't present themselves in a genuine way. They don't present themselves in an authentic way. And I feel like you see them through the lens of who you know that they can be and who you know that they are. Like maybe you even see past the ego. You see past the version of themselves that they present. Maybe you even really like that person. And that's what you're waiting for, is this person to drop the ego and really meet you at that vulnerable place of being genuine and being open and honest and communicative and vulnerable and all the things. But it's hard because this person is doing everything they can to not reach, not reach that depth within themselves. So the running here, because I do feel like this person is running from this connection, is coming from a place of pushing not you away, but running from themselves, running from the depth that this connection pulls them to. So let's dive into this even deeper. Cancer side of this connection, communication with shattered. The moon, fear and illusion, which obviously is the representation of the moon card, but for some reason it's coming through as both. I feel like this person has a tendency to rip the rug out from underneath you just time and time again. It's like very much an emotional roller coaster here, where there are times where things are really good and there are times where things just really, really do not feel good. Okay. Seven of Swords. Three of Cups in reverse. Interesting. Okay. No, that's upright. That's upright. Three of Cups. That's what you're wanting. Because you're really wanting this to work. You're wanting this to come together in a healthy way. And I feel like there's a part of you that's like, I can get through this. This is worth it. I'll push aside how I feel until things, eventually work out the way that I want. But then it's more pain. It's more heartbreak here. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot going on here for sure. Was there anything else that Cancer needs to know about this? Give it a couple more shuffles. 1, 2, 3. Whoa, okay. Queen of Swords in reverse. Knight of Pentacles. Knight of Swords in reverse. Okay. All right. So I said, this moon card came out and I said there was, fear and there's illusion here. I feel like it's kind of a double-sided thing where I feel like you see so much potential in this connection and this person, and it almost feels like this connection is the only way for you to be able to experience the kind of love that you deserve and desire. But I also feel like in order for you to get there, this person would have to be somebody very different than they are right now. That, what I mean by that, it's not that, like, I feel like it's being who they really are, right? But our ego, when our ego is protecting us so deeply, being able to deconstruct the illusion of our ego is incredibly challenging and incredibly difficult. Or it's so uncomfortable. We refuse to do it because we don't want to face the truths of who we really are, why we really don't like them, why we really don't like ourselves. And I feel like that's what this person is doing. There's a lot of running from the version of them that they could be, right? We all have a potential to be the best version of ourselves, and we all have the potential to be the worst version of ourselves. And the extent to our healing and the level of consciousness that we're able to tap into at this particular moment is going to depend where we fall on that scale. And so this person has a lot of potential to be the best version of themselves. Maybe even sometimes you see it, and maybe even in those moments, that's where things feel really wonderful. But majority of the time, I feel like there's somebody that is different than the person you want them to be. And that's where I feel things get really complicated, is because you do see what it could be, but then yet again, rug ripped out from underneath you time and time again. I feel like, who they really are starts to come out, or who they're capable of being at this moment starts to come out. And that's incredibly frustrating for you, because you're like, well, I just know that things could be so good if you would just be different in whatever form of that word, whether it's if you would just heal, if you would just grow, if you would just meet me, if you just give this a chance, if you just be emotionally available, like whatever the case might be. Now, I also feel that in this connection, there's a part of you that, you're holding out for this to eventually come to a place where there's peace, where things are consistent, where this person's energy is consistent. But the more that you hold out for it, the more that I feel like you end up getting hurt. And I'm not saying that you just give up, there's no hope. That's not what I'm saying. But we do have to look at the cycle, because it does kind of feel like your heart is closed off to any other option other than this connection working, which keeps you in a chasing mentality, which keeps you in this energy of trying to do what you can to make this person choose you, value you, love you, whatever the case is, which might mean that in the process of that, you're kind of putting yourself through hell for the sake of the connection. And I get it. Like, when we really love and care about somebody, we want to do everything in our power to make it work, right? But you also need to recognize that you deserve a hell of a lot better right now. You deserve the things that you desire. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to be valued, and you deserve to be chosen right now. And I feel like you know that, and that's why there's a part of you is getting very frustrated when this person doesn't do those things. But I feel like there's a need to look at this from a little bit of a different perspective here, because I do think that there are some deeper truths at play, because with the Seven of Swords, it's like this energy of you don't have all of the information and therefore aren't seeing things clearly. But let's dive into this a little bit more. Let's see what we've got here. This person's energy toward you, Cancer. Ego with Know Your Worth. This person's energy toward Cancer, please. Queen of Wands in reverse. Could be dealing with a fire sign. Leo, Aries, Sagittarius, we don't have to be. I see this as something very different. Whoa, Queen of Pentacles in reverse. What in the world? Five of Cups. Ace of Wands. So you could be dealing with an earth sign too. Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn. Again, you don't have to be, because I do see this as something else. I actually see this as one message. So I want to pull 3 more. The Nine of Wands. It's really interesting the way that we have a tendency to talk about ego versus the ego's role in our life and what it actually does. Our ego is very demonized in the spiritual community. We talk, or even in society in general, right? We talk about when, that person's so egotistical, their ego is so big. And the truth of the matter is that we all have an ego, and our ego is not our it's not our enemy. It's actually incredibly necessary. We need an ego in order to keep us alive. Like, your ego is what keeps you from stepping in front of a bus. But your ego also is kind of like your lizard brain. Let's put it that way. It does what it feels it needs to do in order to survive. So a lot of times when people develop and identify with their ego, they're doing what is necessary, or what they feel is necessary in order to keep them alive, right? If deep down somebody doesn't like themselves, if they don't believe that they're worthy, that they're deserving, that they're, capable of love, they're a good person, whatever the case is, they're going to construct an ego that tells them a different story. And then they're going to identify heavily with that ego, and they're going to push anything and everything away that makes them look at who they really are. And it's not because they're trying to do harm. It's not because they're trying to, essentially do anything wrong, but they're trying to survive. Now, that doesn't make it okay. That doesn't mean that, people who come from a place of ego, that it's just, that we should just feel bad for them and just allow them to do that, right? But it does provide a different perspective where we have to understand that when people carry so much of, so much shame or guilt or wounding or whatever the case is, and they don't want to deal with it, they don't want to look at it, they're going to take it and they're going to put it in this little box, and they're going to put it away in the back of their brain, and they're going to put it behind a lock and key, and they're going to say, do not touch. And they're going to do everything in their power to not open that gate. So when somebody like you comes along, where you have so much love to give and you want to, love them for who they really are, they are terrified of you seeing these things. Not because of anything that you're doing wrong, but because they don't want to face these things themselves. So when that's the case, because to be honest with you, I feel like this person carries a lot of anger and resentment toward themselves. I feel like this person struggles with who they really are and the version of them that that shows up when they're in their shadow. And we all have a shadow, right? There's always a version of ourselves that is unhealed, that is traumatized, that is triggered, that makes unhealthy choices. And that version of us is still deserving of love, but that version of us is going to show up more the more that we carry the shame and the guilt and the self-hatred or whatever the case is. And I feel like that's really hard for you because you see this person so clearly. You see them for who they are, and I feel like you love them anyway, or at least at the very least, I feel like you want to, and you see that they have feelings for you, and you see the potential that this could be if they would step outside of the energy that they're in, allow themselves to be loved on a deeper level. But they're trapped here. People choosing to heal and face their stuff doesn't happen when we want it to. And there's really no guarantee that it's going to happen in this lifetime. It happens when it needs to happen for them. And people are going to do whatever they can to survive when they don't believe that they're worthy and deserving of anything more. So everything that this person does or doesn't do in this connection isn't a reflection of you or your value or even how they feel about you. I mean, I feel like with the Ace of Wands here, they do truly have feelings for you, but I feel like they carry so much and like they have such a bad self-perception, and there's such a lack of healing here that even if you come along and you carry all, you have all of this unconditional love and all of this, this beautiful energy that you carry, and you give it to them all day long, they're still going to do everything in their power to not face those things. And that, unfortunately, is a prison that they have kept themselves in, because the things that we avoid control us. If we avoid the reasons why we believe that we're unlovable and not good enough, we are going to make decisions from a place of believing we're unlovable and not good enough, and our life is going to reflect back at us the belief that we are unlovable and not good enough. The more that we don't face these things, the more that we are going to experience or put ourselves even in situations that prove these things correct. So people run from us when they don't believe that they're worthy and deserving of love, because they're pushing away the very thing that would love them. Because deep down they believe they can't have it, and they're acting on that belief. And one of the craziest things is that, most of the things that we do in this life, 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious, most of those things. And if we're not aware of these things, like I said, they will control us. Now, the hard part is understanding, yes, that's where this person, is dealing with, that's where they lie. I actually feel like they have a lot of, like I said, a lot of feelings for this connection. I feel like with this Nine of Pentacles, this kind of aligns with what it is that they're looking for. Like, they have a lot of good, positive feelings toward you, toward the connection. They have a lot of negative feelings toward themselves. And that is the issue. Now, here's where you come along, because I feel like you see who they could really be, and you want to love them, and you want to help them, and you want to be there for them and show them that you are going to love them no matter what. But here's the thing. The more that we chase people and we try to get them to love themselves, the harder and the more aggressive they are going to push us away. It's kind of like people aren't going to do the things we want them to do if they don't realize that they need to do them, right? And so much of the time we want people to heal and choose us for us. We want people to decide, to see our worth, and to see how lovable and worthy and deserving and how capable, how wonderful the connection could be if they would just do these things. And we say, look at this. I have so much to give you, and I want to get to experience this with you, but you just have to do these things. If you just did these things, it would be fine. Everything would be great. And then when they don't do those things, we look at it from this place of, why am I not enough? Why are they not seeing my value? Why are they not choosing me? It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with where they're at and what they're capable of at this point. But there's also a cycle here. The more that we choose love and chase love in people who are not capable or willing to love us, value us, choose us in the way that we deserve, the more that there's an indication that there is the wounding driving the wheel. The number one way that childhood trauma shows up in our adult relationships is by trying to get people who don't love us well to love us well. Trying to get people who don't choose us to choose us, trying to get people who don't value us to value us. Our relationships with other people are always a mirror of something going on within us, ultimately a reflection of our relationship with ourselves. When we are chasing love in somebody who doesn't choose us, value us, or love us, there is a part of us that is needing to choose us, value us, or love us. So Spirit's trying to flip the mirror to get you to see that there's a deeper purpose to this connection, but it's not about this person. It's not about changing this person. It's not about this person healing. It's not about this person loving you. It's not about this person valuing you or choosing you. It's about you doing these things for yourself. You know, I hear twin flame all the time on this channel and just in the spiritual community. And I've dealt with a twin flame before. I know what the experience is like, but, keep, holding yourself hostage to the hope that somebody eventually is going to change for you can literally break you. And again, take it from, somebody who I've been in therapy for years. I considered myself a very emotionally strong person. I was a spiritual person. This person came along and they absolutely destroyed me. I knew I was getting treated poorly. I knew their, issues. I had empathy for them and I kept choosing them. And I did it because I saw so much potential in them and in the connection, and they reflected so many things back in me. It was a beautiful, magical, horrible experience. And Spirit really taught me that the purpose of those connections, not even just if you label them as a twin flame, but those mirrored connections, isn't about choosing the other person or valuing the other person or healing the other person. It's about what it's reflecting in us, how it is pushing us to heal, how it's pushing us to love ourselves, how it is pushing us to choose ourselves. And I know that sometimes it feels the opposite. It feels almost like your purpose is here to help this person. But this person is showing you the purpose within you to help yourself. We chase love in people who don't choose us when we believe that we need them to choose us in order for us to be happy. And you've been putting yourself through hell for this connection out of hopes for what it could eventually be, right? But what we put our energy into is what we attract more of. If we put ourselves through hell for the sake of something, you're going to attract more of feeling like you're in hell. So when we look at that and we look at, the bigger picture of what's trying to be shown to us, we can also allow ourselves to step out of the illusion that our power lies in somebody else's hands. Your ability to be happy, to have the love that you deserve, to be able to experience a life beyond your wildest dreams does not lie in this person healing, and this person choosing you, and this person valuing you or loving you. It lies in you healing, you loving you, you choosing you, and you valuing you. And I say this from experience. I remember when I was in that twin flame connection, I swore on my life that I was never going to be as happy as I could be if that connection worked out. And I was so certain of this that I even remember telling people, even if I meet somebody else and I end up settling down with them, I know that if that person came back, that I would choose them time and time again. And I sit here now, married to a different person, and I can tell you with 100% certainty that could not be further from the truth. Because the person that I'm married to now has showed me a love that I've always wanted. A love that I never thought was possible. A love that I searched for time and time again, and somebody who wouldn't choose me and value me. So if somebody isn't choosing you or valuing you, it's not about trying to do what you can to make them. It's about recognizing that people who don't choose you and value you are always reflecting back at you the ways in which you are being pushed to choose and value yourself, so you can have the relationships that choose and value you, because you are absolutely still capable of having that. But there's obviously a lot more to it. So in between this, you have Wildcard with Euphoria. We're going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to dive deeper into this, looking at the deeper purpose and the best way for you to move forward and in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Cancer, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing and all of the wonderful things you deserve and desire on your journey moving forward. All right, bye, Cancer.